So I always love organizing the Better Earth talks, but I have to say that this one is very special to me, not only because of the screening, but because the two people that we're gonna interview now are two true heroes of mine, Andrea and Stacy. We will introduce them very soon. Their work in the field is different, but complementary, as you will hear, and they're such a big inspiration to me. So I can't wait for this. This planet needs many more nature and animal protectors. If you don't know, the average size of wildlife populations has declined by 73% only between 1970 and 2020. In 50 years. 50 years we've decimated most of wildlife. And as far as we know, this incredibly amazing, crazy, unique biodiversity could be the only one that we know. We will never know about. And once it's lost, it's lost. So I think that's very important that we really take it at heart. So whatever we can do, I think, to protect other beings that live with us on this planet, not for us, whatever we can do, we must do right now. So I hope that Stacy and Andrea will inspire you as much as they inspire us every day. So let's start, and I want to introduce Andrea first. So Andrea is the founder and executive director of Earth League International. He has over 35 years of experience in conservation projects around the world and has been working for almost 2 decades as an international consultant to companies and government agencies on high-end security technologies. He's the creator and project manager of Wild Leaks, the world's first environmental crime whistleblower initiative. In 2023, Andrea's work was featured as the cover story in the New Yorker magazine. And he's among the main protagonists of Netflix's documentary The Ivory Game about international ivory trafficking, and Nat Geo's documentary Sea of Shadows about illegal fishing in Baja California, both executive produced by Leonardo DiCaprio, Italian style. So welcome, Andrea.
And it's my pleasure to introduce Stacy. Come on up, Stacy. Stacy is an animal behavior expert and the executive director and owner at Animal Track Sanctuary. You got to hear her in the feature film. She's absolutely incredible. Animal Track Sanctuary is a nonprofit organization dedicated to rescuing surrendered, misplaced, or abandoned exotic animals, most of which were victims of the illegal wildlife trade. Stacy graduated from the exotic animal program at Moore Park College and took over the sanctuary in 2008. Animal Tracks is now home to over 70 animals from 26 species. Their programs, which reached about 2,500 people last year alone, are designed to teach compassion, promote conservation, and help people understand why exotic animals shouldn't be kept in our homes. Welcome, Stacy.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, everybody. I just want to say very quickly how impressed I am by you guys. That blew me out of the water. You guys are truly amazing. I'm pretty sure they have angel wings under their clothes. We just can't see it. But at night they fly around and they do amazing things. So thank you.
Can confirm. Yes, they do. So, Stacy, we're going to start with you. Now that we've just watched this amazing short film, Animal Tracks provides refuge for the victims of the illegal wildlife trade. What strategies do you and your team use to educate the public and discourage the purchase of exotic animals?
Right now we all seem to use the same thing, which is storytelling, one person at a time. We want to look you right in the eye. We want to tell you everything we know, and we want to touch your heart. So it's a very fine line that we walk. We don't want to encourage. I personally live with sunshine. I can't live in a Sarah McLachlan world. I have to turn the channel. I can't live in that kind of depression. So when we first started, I used a lot of sunshine. And what I found is when people think the animals are fine, they don't care. They walk away and they're like, oh, those animals are so happy, and that's the end of it. So we have to delve in. And I use empathy in particular, where at the end of my show with the baboon, who is the most incredible creature in the world. She's a soulmate. I say, I want you to climb into her skin and tell me what you think she's thinking. And do you know 95% of our audiences are speechless? They don't know. They can't do it. And it's shocking to me that you can't imagine what this monkey is thinking or feeling if you were sitting in her position. But a good portion of the world cannot. So we have to fix that one person at a time. So empathy, creative storytelling, sassiness, a little finger pointing, maybe a little confrontation. I don't know. I'm not afraid. It all works.
Thank you so much for that, Stacy. So insightful. Storytelling is a fabulous way to reach people. And like you said, one person at a time, you are changing the world. So thank you so much for what you do every day.
Andrea, let's continue. So the illegal wildlife trade is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and that you also have studied that it's connected to other types of trafficking. Could you give us an overview of its scope, numbers, and the current status of endangered species in the world?
Yes, of course. Overall, wildlife trafficking is probably a few $billions per year. We usually put it in the context of environmental crime as a whole, which is, according to Interpol, up to $260 billion per year. It's including illegal timber, illegal fishing, and so forth. So it's a lot of money. And because it's a lot of money, it attracts the attention of organized crime, transnational organized crime, sophisticated trafficking networks, and they're really good in exploiting this. And that's why in many cases, as I repeat all the times, if you look at certain problems like the one illegal fishing in Baja California, or trafficking of jaguars, shark fins, and you name it, it's with the years it became, they're not just conservation problems anymore. It's organized crime problems. And so they have to be tackled in a completely different way, using different methodologies, a different mindset, different people. That's why when I started my organization 12 years ago, I said, okay, that's where we need to go after the people at the very top, because both the illegal pet trade, so wildlife for pets, or the trafficking of parts like shark fins and jaguar fangs and tiger bones and ivory and rhino have one thing in common. International traffickers. They are right in the middle. They make sure the product is sourced. They exploit local communities. They exploit consumers. Very often they are into other crimes. At the moment, we have in our organization on file about 1,000 people around the world, all top traffickers, and I would say 80% of them are involved also in human trafficking, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, money laundering, corruption, weapons trafficking. And so that's why I established my organization too. So I start hiring from FBI, from the CIA, NSA, crime analyst, undercover operative, because the idea was to go straight to the top and get rid of them one by one in collaboration with law enforcement. That's what we do.
So this is a question for both of you, and you kind of answered this, Andrea, for you. So the wildlife crisis is simultaneously a local and global issue, which you just touched on. How do you see the connection between the illegal wildlife trade and its impact on ecosystems, both in our backyards and across the globe as a whole?
Either one of you. Can you repeat that last sentence for me one more time?
Yes. Would you like the whole question?
Just the last two sentences.
So how do you see the connection between the illegal wildlife trade and its impact on ecosystems, both in our backyard and globally?
I will say that we're seeing collapse everywhere, worldwide. But we're also seeing some really interesting things happen, and we basically touched on that a little bit there. But I'm reading some things right now where in Africa, wolves are being encouraged by plants to become pollinators. So the plants have figured out how to attract wolves, since bees are being wiped out, to come be the new pollinator. So when we think our ecosystem is falling apart, and it is to a certain degree, new interesting things are happening. At Animal Tracks, we're seeing a plethora of roadrunners right now, which we haven't seen in probably a decade. So where are these roadrunners coming from? Because our birds of prey are gone. People out in the country use poison, and that poisons are everything from our squirrels to our possums to our raccoons to our foxes. They bring in invasive species. Everybody gets a hedgehog or a ferret, lets it loose, and now we have invasive species all over California. And your lovely little ferret that you love, that you got while you were in Vegas and had a few beers, will eat every bird egg it can find on the ground and ruin our bird population. So there's all kinds of things that the average person isn't taught. It's a spontaneous thing, and it can lead to ecosystem disruption.
I can add that so wildlife trafficking, either for pets or for parts, rhino or ivory. So wildlife trafficking is you have to see it as part of a bigger problem, which is the criminal exploitation of nature and natural resources. It happens most of the time in poor countries. They cannot defend themselves. It very often starts with a road. So the road is the beginning of the end. A road in the Amazon, a road in the tropical forest of Africa. That's the beginning. That's where it's like a highway for exploitation. At the same time, it's a really complicated problem because you cannot ask these poor countries not to build roads. Of course, they also have the rights like we have to develop. The solution has to be international, cannot be local, and it's really, really complex. Of course, it's about poverty, it's about exploitation of local communities, it's about greed. There's always money, so these people make a ton of money. I give you an example. We have been working for a long time in different parts of Latin America on the trafficking of jaguars. So jaguars are poached and then trafficked. They're interested mostly in the fangs and the bones for Chinese market. The fangs are used for as a status symbol, and with the bones they make wine. Interesting part, when they get to Asia, they are sold as tiger, not as jaguar, because they're interested but the tigers we just have maybe 4,000 tigers, 4,500 tigers left in the wild, so it's really difficult to get them, so they go for the jaguars. And I was talking about how profitable it is. You buy 1 or 2 jaguar fangs in Bolivia for $30, $50, and in China is $1,500, $2,000, so it's money. And the effect of this greed is devastating on the ecosystem, of course, because I always say in many countries is basically an open air buffet. You come, you take whatever you want, and you leave, and with no consequences, and that's the problem.
May I ask a question? We're doing all this education worldwide. We talked to people. We had a woman come from Africa who had a porcupine foot in her bra and thought that would save her from breast cancer. Is there an educational program going on in China right now?
They've been trying. They've been spending millions of dollars. It's not easy. If you ask me, we need a complete generational change, if not 2 generational changes. It's most of this, we're talking about centuries old culture and traditions. So you don't just, some Western NGOs that try to put billboards I remember landing in China a few years ago. I cannot go to China anymore for obvious reasons, but I used to be able to do it. So, and I land, and there was billboards left and right at the airports. But every single American NGO had a billboard telling them, don't buy these, don't buy that. You can imagine, a Western white NGO telling them not to do something after we destroy the planet for a millennia at least. Of course it doesn't work. So we need to try, we need to work with them. China is always the elephant in the room in this conversation, because 80% of the products go there, but we need them to solve the problem. So education is the key. Yes, I agree, but how?
How do we do it, you guys? There's plenty of you in here. How do we do it?
Stacy, another question for you. So many people are drawn these days to videos of exotic animals and pictures, you know, they're kept as pets on social media. Like, how do you balance showcasing the animal's beauty and intelligence while ensuring that the images don't fuel this demand? You know, oh, this is too cute. Like, how do you make sure that the animals get the interaction that they need, but without making them too attractive, you know?
Boy, if we knew that answer, we'd all be millionaires. I will tell you that we are deeply aware of how dangerous what we do is to invite people to think that this beautiful moment you see could be you every day of your life. I have some young primates who love to throw down, and I mean aggressively, like vampires fighting each other. And I love it when they get aggressive in front of people. Because the second you see a monkey open a can, you will never want a monkey again. And that is truly what the people have to see. We admit openly to the scars and wounds the monkeys have given us. I will tell you, COVID taught us all that if you lock us in a cage, we go crazy. And if you open that door, the world gets better. So our job is to open the door, to do it with education, to encourage you to do it the right way. So there are so many people that are salt of the earth. Look at how many dog and cat rescues there are of people who just want to help animals. Most of us animal people are kind of strange, and we don't always get along with each other. But if we could take over the world. We could dominate. There are so many people that want to help animals, and there is no money. I truly think that we need to start at the top with philanthropy, and we need to encourage conservation to be a well-paid profession. Because you cannot compete with greed with people who are struggling to survive. So why should we make any less money? I mean, a lawyer makes a lot of money. I keep a baboon from eating people every day. I think I deserve more money.
That is so true. That is so true. And I like what you say, because people do kind of associate their own value sometimes with what they're able to earn, what they're able to provide. Some of that is just providing for your family, which I completely understand. So it's not always just a selfish thing. But oftentimes the most impactful careers are the ones that don't pay well. The ones where people are maybe struggling for funding. So making those careers, making those organizations well-funded, I think would be incredible.
Let's inspire the next generation to want to make the next green product or clean the ocean or save a jungle rather than wear the best perfume or wear some new kicks.
Completely agree.
That comes from Josh Betters. Where's Josh Betters? I give you credit, sir.
Yes. Woo! And let's let the older generations know that it's not too late for them to change as well. Because we can all do a little bit more, right? All right, so Andrea, as we see from animal sanctuaries like Animal Tracks, now you already kind of hit on this a little bit, but there is a market not just for the dead animals and their parts, but also for living animals. So maybe, because you did answer a little bit of this already, can you give some specific examples of how Earth League International tackles both aspects and what challenges might be unique to both of those? Because you're talking about, at the top you were saying it's very similar systems, but what makes them unique and how have you tackled both of those things?
Yeah, so on the regarding the illegal pet trade, first we as an organization, as a person, I've been looking into, I've been investigating, the legal trade of chimps in Western Africa, the legal trade of cheetah in Eastern Africa, Somalia, the legal trade of parrots and monkeys, tons of reptiles from South America. There's a lot. Better than me. On the other side, when we talk about parrots, we're talking about a lot of stuff. I mean, from everyone knows probably rhino horn, ivory trade, the pangolins, but also jaguar, shark fins, sea cucumbers, coral. I mean, as I always say, if if you are a living creature on Earth and there is a market for you, you are in trouble. Doesn't matter if you're an animal, a plant, or whatever. That's the problem. As an organization, there was a learning curve also for me, and we understood that the way we operate now is, I know it sounds strange, it sounds counterintuitive, but we try to be as agnostic as possible in terms of the product, because we laser on the person, on the trafficker. And so we do a ton of intelligence work on this person. We do undercover operations. We stay with these people sometimes for years. We have incredible undercover operators. It's a sort of a social engineering kind of work. In a very, very simple term, we are really good in becoming your friend if you're a trafficker. And once we are friends, you tell us everything we want to know, absolutely everything. And actually they like to show off, so they brag and they tell us a lot of stuff. And they tell us about animal trafficking, they tell us about money laundering, sex trafficking, and we compile this confidential report for law enforcement. So that's how we tackle both at the same time, because if you get rid of a person, and by get rid I mean arrest. Anything else? I want to be clear with that. It's not my job to do, I stop there. But if you get rid of a person, the impact is huge, because this person is into so many things that it's really also cost effective.
May I ask another question? Is it like a hydra where you cut off one head and 3 more heads pop up?
That's a good question. This trade, this illegal trade, has a lot of similarities with narco trafficking. In fact, sometimes they collaborate with each other, with one big difference. At the top of narco trafficking network, yes, you cut one head. They are just arrested. First El Chapo and then the Chapitos, the sons, and they already new heads. At the top of wildlife trafficking networks is really different. They're businessmen. And the interesting part is that these people, they're not flat out criminals. They do a lot of legal stuff as well. Most of them have import-export companies, restaurants, hotels, whatever. So they get scared very easily. The problem is that for decades, their cost of business was zero, because nobody was, they were ghosts. So we had a first-hand experience of arresting some of them, and the whole thing destroyed. Nobody wants to buy Jaguar anymore. We arrested 10 people in Bolivia, all foreign national, for Jaguar trafficking a year and a half ago. We went back to Bolivia 8-9 months later, and nobody was touching his Jaguar because they got scared. And that's so that the game is not to arrest them, it's to keep them out of major crime.
It's a great, wonderful answer. Thank both of you. Annalisa, do we have time for maybe a couple more questions? What do you think?
I don't have the phone, but
We have about 18 minutes.
okay. Yeah, we can do it. So, Stacy, from your experience, why do most exotic animal owners fail to meet the needs of these animals, and how does that incompetence highlight the necessity of sanctuaries like yours, like Animal Tracks, and of course ending the wildlife trade?
How many of you wanted a monkey when you were a kid? Thank you. Me too. Jane Goodall is the reason I do what I do. So we do it because we think with our heart, not always with our brain. We are very successful people. We know what we're doing. We know how to raise children. We know how to raise dogs. Therefore, a monkey can't be much different, right? And so we go into it with that attitude. Most people that own exotic animals are not doing it from a bad heart. They're doing it because they think they can. And so there's very little research. So my favorite thing, I'm going to tell you all a story. And when you decide you want a monkey, somebody will go into the jungle, if it's not a captive bred monkey, and they will annihilate an entire troop, because no monkey is going to hand you their child. And so we've now just taken out 20 to 60 monkeys, which were growing the rainforest with their behinds, doing magical things for humanity. And we sell the adults off as bushmeat. The babies are anesthetized by People who are not experts, most of them die in transit as they're in a very hot environment, and most dehydrate and die in transit. They're given to people who have no idea how to raise them, and you swaddle them and bottle feed them and diaper them and love them, and for 3 years it makes every holiday in your house so special. And at 3 years old, that monkey is going to mature. And you think it's okay, it's either going to become my child or it's going to become my dog, and it is going to become a monkey. There's no way around it. And at 3 years old, Grandma walks into your house to have Christmas, never met the monkey before, and the monkey is no longer a baby. The monkey now fits into society, into the hierarchy. Hierarchy is very important. Grandma comes in and smiles. Oh, I love monkeys so much. That monkey saw teeth. Now, it's okay if you show your teeth. You're allowed to laugh, giggle, smile, kiss, just like we are. They don't want me to be anthropomorphic. I don't know any other way to be. A monkey is just like a human that cannot speak. But Grandma comes in nervous and giggles. So now we've had weapons drawn by Grandma, and she's nervous, which is a clear indicator that something's going down to this monkey. Grandma comes in for the hug, monkey bites off Grandma's nose. This is going to happen 100% of the time for any monkey that's brought into a private home. You don't see that on Instagram. You don't see that in all of these lovely stories that only tell you the best parts of life. Your monkey at 3 years old, Grandma's going to go to the hospital. They're going to say, what happened? Oh, this monkey bit me, and the monkey is euthanized. So 95% of the monkeys that we just cleaned out the world's jungles for, that we were inept and not equipped to own, are now euthanized. And the 5% that make it to someone like me, who are lucky, will live incarcerated for the rest of their life. So that is what we are doing as human beings, because we didn't research it from the word go. A little research goes a long way. I would love to become a donkey rescue, because that means people are using these little computers that are in our hands, and they're researching before they get the monkey. That would be a gift to all of us.
And Andrea, we have another question for you as well. So some wildlife exports, like selling animals to zoos, do remain legal, unfortunately. What steps can be taken to reevaluate and reform these legal processes, these practices, aligning them with modern conservation and animal rights ethics?
Yeah. First of all, there's a ton of animals going to zoos illegally. First of all. In different ways, but I don't want to get too technical, but to export a wild animal from a country, you need a document. It's called CITES document, and it's very easy to get a CITES document if you pay the right officer. So a lot of animals are going to, especially new zoos in Asia. In the past few years, China, but not only China, there was an explosion of numbers of zoos and unfortunately also aquariums. And they are hungry for wild animals to the point that very often they just bribe someone, get a permit, and export it. So it's not just legal. It's really a difficult problem to deal with, and I have to be honest with you, I have no solution other than, in theory, there is a system which is the CITES Convention, and there is now many intergovernmental organizations that usually deal with crime, like UNODC, United Nations Office of Drug and Crime. They also deal with wildlife and everything. So in theory, the systems is there, the laws are there. As always, it all comes to enforcement. If you don't enforce it, then you can have millions of rules, and it's useless. But it's a growing problem, and we, whenever we can, we also deal with that. But it's just gigantic, unfortunately.
Can I add something to that?
Of course.
So I know lots of people don't like zoos, and I know there are bad zoos, and there's good zoos, and there's good officers, and there's bad officers. Let's just face it, humans are corrupt by nature. You can never fix that problem. But let me ask you this. One of the things we see most often are people stopping in national parks and trying to put their baby next to a buffalo or get very close to the elk. What if the elk and the buffalo that got caught or were injured were put in a place where people could go and take those Instagram pictures safely, where they could get up and they could smell the animal and they could see the animal, and yes, there'd be animal ambassadors that would represent their species, But it would stop humanity as a whole from thinking they have to take it upon themselves to endanger their children with a wild buffalo. So you could do it in a sanctuary way where maybe that would stop 95% of the people trying to pet a buffalo. I mean, have you ever heard anything crazier? But it comes down to the fact that we all want to feel wild. When you go on a dating app, and I don't know how many of you go on it, I've gone on dating apps, everybody talks about, I want a long walk on the beach, and I want to go to the forest, and I want to see an elephant seal. So what if we made it, that's why I think zoos and aquariums regulated are so important to humanity, because we're so selfish. If not, we're going to take it into our own hands, and when we take it into our own hands, there's always trouble. Because when you take your baby over and the baby gets hurt by this buffalo, they will euthanize that buffalo. When that grizzly bear grabs your kid, they will take that grizzly bear. So we're trying to fix the human factor. When you go to the zoo, why don't they teach you not to smile at a monkey? Because we're so selfish that if you taught people that, they would do it on purpose to irritate the monkeys 24 hours a day to get an Instagram picture. So what we really have to figure out is the psychology of the human. If we want to fix the animal problem, we have to fix the psychology of a human, and we have to make it worthwhile pay-wise. I think we have to go up against greed. I think if we could do those two things, we'd be well on the path. Because we're all doing the same thing now. We're all doing storytelling, and we're all writing legislation and advocacy, but really none of it has been a showstopper. So we have to figure out, what is that showstopper? How do we change it now before it's too late? How do we inspire people rather than shame them? And I think that's how you do it. You bring them in and you educate them. And you slap a few of them around.
And wouldn't it be wonderful if we could inspire people to care about
Yeah,
animals
so
without
who
putting
wants
that
to
in
fund
cages?
the first really
right?
expensive conservation jobs? Who wants to fund that?
Well, some of us are working in it already, so. And I think it would be great if we could inspire people to respect animals and respect wildlife without needing these pictures next to them. Take the picture of the bison, but you don't need to stand by it. Get a zoom lens if you're that interested. All it takes, and I will tell you this, just going to Stacy's point about scaring people, because I'm not in favor of capturing animals and keeping them caged, but what I will say is this. There's a line of motorcycles and cars in Yellowstone, and some lady got too close to the bison, and it threw her in the air, and I can guarantee you, no one else got that close. So that video needs to be spread far and wide, and nothing happened to that bison because they were just doing what bisons do. So you can't change nature. But I think that goes a long way too, to protecting the animals and saying, if something happens, that's on your shoulders. She was fine, by the way. She survived. Luckily, she's very lucky. But, get a zoom lens if you want a picture up close of an animal that's in the wild. That's a solution. I will give you one, okay? Annalisa, I think we have maybe one more question.
Yeah.
Go
just
ahead.
One final question, if you guys are okay with it. So what do you believe are the most effective ways to shift the narrative? Because we're here talking about storytelling and how we can touch people with stories. But how can we change the story of who we are as humans towards animals and the planet, and how we treat the planet, and how to go from what the film was saying, from exploiters to protectors, from abusers to nurturers? Big question.
Collaboration and inspiration. I think that's how we attract our friends. And it has to be something that people don't have to be fearful of. You have to be welcomed. Come on in. Animal Tracks has 65 volunteers. We take everybody. Come on in and join our family. And as you know, inviting other groups to come collaborate with us. And so that we become an army of people with the same belief.
It's a $1 trillion question. We're talking about a gigantic moral shift of billions of people. That's it. So, and we never have to forget that we are here in a bubble, within a bubble, within a bubble, within a bubble. We are just an exclusive bubble of people who can afford talking about those things, and the rest of the world is not like that. It's not just that they don't care. There's also that a lot, but sometimes they just cannot afford that. They barely get to the end of the month. So it's a gigantic problem that probably starts with education, probably starts with the new generation, but is the moral compass that has to be taken care of, and it's a gigantic endeavor. We do what we can in our little spaces. We inspire other people. I always see my work as I'm 100% sure I will not see any result in my lifespan, 100% sure. But I leave my job as what's the name of this Olympic relay run? Relay.
You're gonna pass the baton?
Exactly. So I'm running as fast as I can, and I will pass the baton to somebody else. The fastest I go now, the better will be for the next person. That's what we can do. That's my answer.
Are you seeing a change in the moral compass?
No.
Could you just lie to me for a second?
Everyone in this room is proof that there is change.
I'm sorry, I'm known for being the party pooper. But just because I see so much shit every day that I have to be realistic. So in our bubble, it's easy to see beautiful things. In our bubble, it's easy to be vegan, okay? But outside this bubble, the world is a shitty place. And it's really difficult. So you have to come up with really good, gigantic, inspiring ideas. And documentaries are a great tool. I remember when the first documentary, Ivory Game, with DiCaprio. Actually, it's a great example of when a documentary can actually become a tool to change. And that documentary not only got invited to the Beijing Film Festival, it won the Beijing Film Festival, and the year after, the Chinese government finally, after decades, banned the legal market of ivory in China. But that's big, okay? That's the kind of stuff that we want to see. Yeah.
That was a great answer. Meeting people where they are, I think, is great, and coming from a place of empathy, because there are people who don't have a choice, who work in sometimes illegal trades, who that's the only way they can support their family. So having empathy for those people too, not the people at the top, the people who are crapped on. To be clear,
They are sometimes as exploited
They are
as
exploiting
the
people.
commodity that they're
Yes.
trying to get. Yeah.
100%. Thank you for your answers. And we want to thank both of you so much for your insights, for your knowledge, for being here, and for being heroes truly in the field for animals and for the environment. This is so inspiring to all of us. I'm inspired every time I hear both of you speak, and this has been incredible. Please, because we want to be sure that everybody knows where to find you and how to support you, tell everyone here where they can find you and what they can do to support you and to donate to what you're doing, to this important work.
My president, Nancy, is here. And she's giving me the evil eye, because I'm really good at talking about baboons, but I really am not good about talking about money. Animal Tracks is located in the beautiful hills of Agua Dulce, just north of Santa Clarita by 10 minutes. We are a sanctuary you can visit at certain times. We have set tours. The tours are very important here on time because the animals do come out of their cages, so it's not a place you can just walk around. And it is pretty magnificent because the animals are having so much fun. It's you can't help but feel their joy. And so you can donate. It's been a rough year. It was a very hot summer, and everybody's Christmas shopping now, so ticket sales have plummeted. So year-end donations, corporate donations. What am I missing, Nancy? What am I missing?
Well, eventually we'd like to move.
Yes. We are going to be moving to a different property. We are seeing mankind change as we speak. It used to be that children were very excited to come see animals. It's very rare that I meet a child now that is excited to meet an animal. They are more interested in looking at their phone, and they're a little too hot, or they're a little too cold, or it's a little too windy. Can we just go? And it's the parents who are sitting there that are excited to see the animals. Well, hold on just a minute. Look, the monkey. The kid's like, I want to go. They're like, sorry, we have to go because the 3-year-old's in charge. So, did I say that out loud? I did say that out loud. Yes, it's changing. 3-year-olds now around the world. So we are going to have to get technology involved. We're gonna have to, which is great because then you don't have to put an elephant in a cage or a giraffe in a cage. You know, giraffes are silently going extinct, and the United States is one of the biggest importers of giraffe products. Did you guys know? Knife products, carpets. We're buying giraffes.
They're being
So
considered for the ESA.
I'm sorry. Could you say that louder? I have old lady hearing.
They're being considered for Endangered Species Act.
Yeah, well, they should hurry that up. So yeah, we have to be aware of what's going on and the superpowers. Animal Tracks is all about the superpowers. So possums, you don't have Lyme disease because you have possums in your neighborhood. So go home and kiss your possums. We owe them. So yeah, we are looking for donations in any way, ticket sales, follow our social media, and thank you so much for being here tonight. It means the world to us. Grassroots is what we're all about.
Thank you, Stacy. And we're going to give you a chance to, on this screen, can we get the screen before this back up with the QR codes? While we're talking about donating, I'd like to have the QR codes for these two groups up. That would be super fabulous. And we'll just point out the two for your organizations. So if you want to, everybody, if you just get out your phones right now, you can really make use of those special devices you have in your purses, pockets, or wherever else you keep yours. Don't tell me if it's someplace weird. I don't want to know. Go ahead and especially, I mean, you can support us, of course, but we want you to really take a picture here. And what's going to happen is it's going to take you right to the Animal Tracks website and Earth League International. So get two web pages open on your phone, and it's gonna show you right where you can donate. So we're gonna make it as easy as possible, and I'm gonna encourage everybody to donate like at least $10. Your Christmas shopping anyway, just donate that to each group, and that would be fabulous.
Say, yeah. So you can find us at Earth League International or social media or me personally. Next year, I don't know, but this year we are well funded, so give money to Animal Tracks.
And if you're a sugar daddy or Jason Momoa, call me.
So thank you so much, and again, please donate, you guys. You know, it is the season of giving, and I can't think of a better gift than to donate to an animal protection organization like these two.
Is there a place others will be able to view the film?
We don't know yet. We haven't decided. This was the very, very first premiere just for you guys. Very exclusive, and then we'll decide how to release it. So we will keep you posted.
Should we make that happen? What do you think? The people want it.
People have spoken. So thank you everyone for being here. Anders, you should join us. I know he's always doing video and pictures, everything. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for this incredible community and all the Animal Tracks team, and obviously to Stacy and Andrea, two incredible people and great inspiration for us both. Do you want to add anything, Anders?
I just want to thank you, and I hope everyone will keep following the developments. And it's a lot about knowledge. That's my thing, but it should be everyone's thing, and it is. But spreading the knowledge and sort of being a witness when you discover these things, and when you hear about things that are really bad and unpleasant, but also uplifting stories, it puts you in a position where you can do something. You can just tell people about it. So that's my note. Thank you all for being here.
And thank you, NeueHouse, for this fantastic location. Thank you, Andrea, here. And let's just continue and enjoy the.
Hold on, wait.
There's more.
We want to congratulate this huge You almost tried to get out of here without congratulating the two of you on this. So we want to give a huge congratulations to Annalisa and Anders again for the short documentary, and we hope to see more from Better Earth Productions very, very soon. So this is our nonprofit that Annalisa and I started 3 years ago now. Was it 3 years? 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember. 2 years ago. Better Earth Media is dedicated to amplifying voices in the environmental media space. So if you would like to support us, you absolutely can as well. We want to thank you all so much for being here. As I always say, you could choose to be anywhere tonight, and you chose to be here with us, and we are so incredibly grateful for all of you. So don't forget to grab your goodie bags on the way out. Thank you for being here, and we hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Jenny. One last thing, in your brochures, you have a coupon that's a 20% discount off of tickets from Animal Tracks. So check your brochures if you're interested in coming. Thank you, everybody.